Good afternoon, book lovers of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber, I get a new subscriber, and I also read a page from a book of my choice. I am Book Nerd 802, and in this video, I am going to be reviewing the first book in the Dexter series by Jeff Lindsay called Darkly Dreaming Dexter. Now, this one has about 275 pages, and I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And considering everything, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this as much hadn't I read it whilst watching the TV show. So there are several differences which stuck out like sore thumbs, in my opinion, differences between the book and the first season of the show, respectively. And I understand that the show tries to make the story more complex and strives to give all the characters a respectable amount of screen time, but with the book, this was not the case, and that rather got on my nerves. I read this one very quickly, only in a couple of hours, whilst I was in Gozo with my family on holiday. I couldn't really put it down, but there are some things about it which did not really work for me. I am, of course, aware that there are 7 books left in the series, and I'm sure that the characters will be developed accordingly. But then again, there are also 7 more seasons to go following the first one. So, what weirded me out with this first volume was how Dexter thought that he was the one conducting all the murders in his sleep, and I thought that the book would take the Fight Club approach, but this was not the case. Of course, Dexter is a murderer, but he is not the ice truck killer, and at some points he even thought that he was the one conducting all the murders. Now, this isn't really that much of a spoiler; it's more of a speculative approach. So the Dark Passenger idea will definitely get more attention in future volumes, and I'm rather certain of this, even though I've only read the first 100 pages of the second volume so far. Um, so we will be able to see more of a Fight Club approach to this series sooner rather than later. Um, the moon is also a rather interesting analogy to use in such books, and it has phases which all result in different consequences. And in this video review, there are going to be several spoilers from here on out, so if you haven't read or watched the show, please click away, unless you're not really interested in watching or reading. Um, yeah, definitely be warned. So in the book, Deb and Brian never date. So Deb is Dexter's sister. She is his um, not his sister by blood. Brian is Dexter's brother by blood, as we soon find out. We are not told in which ways Dexter experiments with his victims, and this is all left to our imaginations, all the horrible things that Dexter does to the horrible people he murders. And Sergeant Dokes, is made out to be a carrier of the Dark Passenger straight away. In the show, this takes more time to come across. It is not so blatant straight away, not so obvious right off the bat. Um, so I'm rather concerned about noticing that I have much in common with Dexter. I even made a short about this, and there isn't anyone I can really speak with about all the ways which I feel as though I am like Dexter. I have no Harry to guide me in my own life, although his code does make a lot of sense, and I look forward to learning more about it through reading these books. In a way, these books have been very helpful. I enjoyed reading about Dexter's meticulousness and how systematic he is, and all his attention to detail. Although he did screw up one of the operations, he did fumble completely there. He did manage to escape in time anyway, but he didn't manage to get a drop of blood from his victim. His habit of collecting souvenirs from his victims is extremely cool too. He collects a drop of blood from his victims, puts them on a slide, and then he has a special cabinet where he files them accordingly. We are also told about the first person he ever killed, um, having been given permission by Harry to do so. Um, I found that to be very cool. All the background information which we were kind of missing from the show, from the first season rather. The internal monologue truly does add a lot to the story, and I really enjoyed being in Dexter's mind, although I don't think it works as well with the show. And learning that Brian and Dexter are brothers by blood was a good twist, considering that Brian was the eye-struck killer all along, and Deb finally got the promotion she had been whining about throughout, and Lagwerta died. So I suppose all is good with the world. I mean, Lagwerta was one of my least favorite characters throughout. There wasn't really any reason for me to enjoy her character, and the way the first volume ended was rather strange. But we were given to believe that Dexter let Brian go and saved Deb from a horrible death. I believe that Brian had in mind to tell Dex to help him kill Deb, but somehow Dexter managed to change Brian's mind and let him go. So what was rather perfect was how Dex is a blood spatter analyst, and the killer went out of his way to make sure that blood was nowhere to be found on the crime scenes. I think this was very, very interesting, and I mean, it's pretty obvious that Brian Moser is quite a genius. Then again, there are some other characters like Rita, for instance, who is Dexter's love interest, if you can call it that, because Dexter doesn't really feel anything. He doesn't experience any emotions the same way humans do, probably because he spent a couple of days swimming in blood, basically. That probably had a huge impact on the way his mind functions. Yeah, but she is a lovely character. Rita is a lovely character to read about in the first book, and her husband does not return to torment her family, as is the case with the show. And I don't really I don't really know whether the show tried to make Lindsay's book come across as more realistic, but I do think that the adaptation is a fantastic one, regardless of all the changes and additions, and I am enjoying the TV show rather more than I did the book, to be honest with you. I would highly recommend the show. I think that what Lindsay had in mind originally, his original idea was to express the idea of a character who is a serial killer without many emotions, but can be viewed in a context of praise, because many people seem to think that what Dexter is doing is a good thing since he is taking out the trash, and this is something that even I would aspire to do, especially when rapists and pedophiles are concerned, and honestly, in my opinion, they deserve worse than what even Dexter does to them in these volumes, in these books. I definitely don't plan on underestimating Brian Moser ever again, since he's made it quite clear that he's a genius. He is a threat to anyone and everyone, basically. He is more formidable than Dexter himself. He is basically Dexter, but without Harry's code, so he doesn't really have a moral um, spectrum to use to work upon. So not that Dexter didn't quickly catch on to what Brian had in mind. Then there are two other characters, Masuka and Batista, who definitely deserved more attention, but they did not get much of it in the first volume. And they both have many skills as far as forensics go, and wicked senses of humor. In fact, this book really did make me chuckle once in a while. There are some very, very good moments in this book, both when Dexter is tormenting his victims, both when Dexter is expressing his thoughts, sharing his ideas about why he does this to his victims, um, when he's collecting evidence to have a reason to kill somebody. There is so much going on. It's not really meant to be funny. I mean, people are dying left, right, and center, but at the same time, they deserve to die. So in a way, it is very satirical, I suppose. I mean, he is mocking death itself. He is making fun of death, and he does not really consider himself to be human. This Dexter person, which is why I think in a way, I find him to be very relatable. Now, I look forward to finishing the second book in the series as well. I am 100 pages in so far, Dearly Devoted Dexter. Now that I know some of the characters, this is much easier to read through. It's also a very quick read so far. But that is all I had to say about Darkly Dreaming Dexter by Jeff Lindsay. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my videos because why not? They're amazing. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.